Lee, I want your opinion. You follow the Devils, right? Like
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, you are a Devils fan. So give me what you think of this hire for the Ottawa Senators.
Since 1988, when John McClain scored an overtime in Chicago to make the playoffs, they went all the way to the 7th game of the Stanley Cup semifinals against Boston with the scab referees. Since that day, I've been a Devils fan, which shows you how old I am as well. Okay, number one, I agree with you. As a guy who was also covering, the Senators when it was Ty Domi and it was Shane Corson and it was Darcy Tucker, and I always thought the dirtiest guy of all was Travis Green. Like he was the one that got away with. No, he was the one that actually got away with it because everyone was focused on Domi and Tucker and Corson. This guy, I'm telling you, he was as dirty comes because he got away with it. Yes, he was, but he got away with it, which is incredible for him. Nothing to do with him being a coach. I don't understand the venom on social media. I don't know who Sens fans wanted to hire to be able to go, oh, okay, this is the perfect guy. He's going to lead us to a Stanley Cup. Because if somebody has won 2 or 3 Stanley Cups before, there isn't anybody out there. But if they have, I don't know if the game's passed them by or not. I look at Travis Green and I go, okay, who's coaching right now that you would consider successful coaches? Look who's going up against each other. You got Pete DeBoer is still in. I know Bruce Cassidy just got eliminated. You have all of these coaches that are on their 2nd or 3rd run and that were never considered, very top tier guys. So why did Pete DeBoer keep getting jobs? Why, Bruce Cassidy's good coach. Why did he keep getting jobs? Why have, Jim Montgomery goes over and now has another job and is leading a team. Paul Maurice has had umpteen chances. So I look at Travis Green and go, what did he do in New Jersey? What did he do in Vancouver? I think he's got some really good skills to be able to lead a group. I think he's been there, done that before. And now I think he probably understands coaching a little bit more with some of the mistakes that he has made in previous regimes. And I think, Jason, that is so important. To be a great coach, you probably have to have failed elsewhere to go and learn from your mistakes. Now, I am concerned about the goals against. Ottawa needs to cut it down. I don't think he's got a great track record at, cutting down goals against. We'll see if that can be something that he has learned from. But I actually really like his experience so far in the markets that he's been. He's been in the New Jersey market where, I don't want to say there's no pressure. There's always pressure in the NHL, but that's not the most pressured market in the league. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to Vancouver, which might be like Vancouver fans and media are just kind of next level. So now he comes back here and I think this is a good hire. Like I'm going to wait and see, these guys have had a long time, the Sens management and ownership, now that they've come in a long time to look at kind of what they thought was best for the group. And this is what they've decided. I think people should give it a chance.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point there, Lee, about the markets. The thing about coaches, you don't really know what it's like to be in a market and have to face the media every day and the pressure. So that experience he got in Vancouver, coaching that team, and also playing in Toronto, that's going to help him a lot in Ottawa because it's every day because you got to talk every day. There's a different kind of pressure, totally different than New Jersey, Lee, like you said. But yeah. I think that's going to help him. But that's the thing. Like you look at the coaches, and I do agree with you of who was available right now. And I said this to Wally before the show. Jim Montgomery is a really good coach. Somebody took a chance on him. They brought him out of the University of Denver, and he went to coach Dallas. And then things didn't work out. He gets another opportunity. Cassidy was fired. So Boston didn't think he was a good coach. Hey, he wins the Stanley Cup the next year. So I'm of the mind. I want to see what Travis Green can do. Like I just don't think I think it's unfair for everybody to say this guy can't coach. Well, the sample size is really small in New Jersey, and the goaltending they didn't have good goaltending. You look at Vancouver, you were set up to fail in that situation with Jim Banning and everything. It was a circus which was going on. So for sure he had a good interview. For sure he's saying all the right things. And I know what people want here too, though, Wally. Everybody wants somebody to come in and hold this group accountable. That is important. It is important, Wally, but let me just finish the thought.
Yep.
You can't just come in and be a yeller and screamer, and you're going to do it my way or you're not going to play. because that's not going to work. You need somebody that can hold somebody accountable, but can also get the players to buy into what he's selling. So obviously, Steos, Michael Landauer, Dave Poulin believe that Travis Green can get this group to buy into what he's selling. So we'll see.
And I think, Jason, I think that's an outstanding point. I really do, because the thing with DJ Smith that people always said, and I think was actually true, is like he was going to ride or die with this group. So it didn't matter that Batherson or Stützle or Kachuk or any of these guys would make mistakes defensively. They would be out there the next shift.
Yeah.
But as you said, you can't just yell at somebody and say, well, you're not doing it right. Okay, you're going to sit down. You have to be able to sit the player down, maybe miss a period, miss a game. You want to sit somebody in the press box to make a point, fine. But you actually have to be able to relate after that to the player, what they're going through, and then come at it together. And I don't think there's any doubt that Ottawa needs someone that if somebody's not doing the right things defensively, they can't just continue to go out and play, because that was DJ's big mistake. And I think they know that. And I don't think Travis Green is going to do that. But I also think once that happens, and I know everybody picks on Batherson, but look, he's not great defensively, and he doesn't seem to be getting it more than other guys. So I think he's a guy that you can look at and go, okay, if he's going to make a mistake and the coaches continually told him, this is what you need to do, and he's not doing it. Okay, Drake, you're going to sit down for a couple of periods. But after that, we're going to go through this together, and we're going to get you back to where we need you to get back. And I think relating to another player like Travis Green that did play big market, has been some other places, I think will do wonders for those kind of situations. So I actually like the hire in that respect.
And the end of the day, last point here, end of the day, if Ottawa doesn't get good goaltending, it's not going to matter who the coach is. Really, it really doesn't matter. Ottawa has to get better goaltending, because if you don't, you're not going to win. When it really all comes down to it, fellas, I don't care. Look at teams that have success. You have to get saves. So we'll see what happens in that department.
So there's the only thing I don't like about the Travis Green hire. Well, there's a couple things. One, I'm okay with it, but I just want to point out it's a sub 500 winning percentage or points percentage in his career. So that's one thing. Like, I felt like as an organization, you needed to make a splash just for the city, just to let them know we want to try and do whatever we can. That's not saying that everybody else said, I'm not sure that this is the right place for me to coach in, or I'm not sure you're going to pay me enough. I don't know all those factors. And maybe Travis Green came in and knocked their socks off in the interview, which is quite possible. They did ask to interview him. So clearly they knew something beforehand. But you've got Jacques Martin there, right? You got Dave Poulin there, seasoned guys who've been there. I mean, Steve Staios has played 1,000 games. He's been through a number of coaches. So I got to think that whatever they saw or had, this was the best option for them at the time to go with. So
Wally, I agree. Lee made a good point there earlier. Today's coach needs to be able to relate to the players. It is like a partnership. Like, you got to be hard. You have to be firm.
Okay.
You got to hold guys accountable, but you got to get guys. This is the key to coaching. You have to have your player believe that you want his best interest, that you want him to succeed. And if the player knows you have his back, and people say, well, that's what DJ was like. Yeah, but a little too much, because it's a fine line, because there has to be accountability, but the player also needs to know that, hey, I want to go through a wall for this guy because I know that he wants the best for me. And the best for him sometimes might be, hey, I'm not playing well, so I'm sitting. And I deserve that. And that's the fine line that really good coaches understand. And time will tell. Time will tell. I want to see what Green can do, but it's very tricky dealing with today's player, and especially Ottawa, because these guys have so much power. Look at the long-term contracts: Stützle, Kachuk, Sanderson. So it has to be a partnership, but you also have to hold guys accountable. So we'll see.
And Jason, I do want your perspective as a former player, because to me, when people talk and they throw this word around all the time, right? Accountability. They got to be accountable. Well, to me, accountability means as much to the rest of the group as it does the player. So it's like
Yeah.
if a player is not doing what he is being asked to do, and maybe the best example that I loved from the playoffs, couldn't get enough of this from the playoffs, was William Nylander yelling at Mitch Marner
Right.
on the bench. But let's ascends forward, whoever it is. Like Tim Stützle, we all know how offensively gifted he is. But if he's not doing the right thing and giving away the puck in his own end like he does regularly, the rest of the group at some point is going to go, okay, like when is he going to learn? When are the coaches going to help the rest of the group to help Tim to not do that, or to help whoever? I'm just saying a forward's name. It doesn't matter who it is. If a forward is struggling defensively and they keep going out there, the rest of the group is like, why? What is happening? Yeah. Why does he get to keep making mistakes? So accountability to me, and I'd love to hear your perspective, is as much to the rest of the group when somebody's not playing well as it is to that certain player.
Good teams, Lee. That accountability factor, it's usually other players. And the problem with Ottawa, it's always Claude Giroux doing it.
Right.
And we've heard from guys, this team needs a couple more older guys to help out in that leadership department, because good teams, like I say, they hold each other accountable. And Ottawa, to me, they need a couple more older guys, one on defense in particular, and probably a forward or two, just to, because that's what you do. People know when you make a mistake. People know when a guy shouldn't play or should play. And players police that amongst themselves, and they call each other out, and that's how you become better. And I love the example. I actually loved what Nylander did on the bench, and but probably not the best example of the Toronto Maple Leafs, because of holding everybody accountable. But the really good teams do it, and Ottawa they're still really young, and I really believe, Wally, I've said this before, there's going to be some major changes made to bring in some of those veteran type guys that are going to help out a guy like Giroux in that department.
So I talked to a player yesterday that's played for Travis Green, and I text with. So he just said he's very honest with his players, and communication is a big part of his everyday. He's an intense guy who demands a lot and really focuses in on the detailed work and process rather than the results. He's a big fan of fitness and conditioning too. The guys are in for a rude awakening in training camp. He's got some pretty hardcore tests. So if he does all that's being said of him, and it finished with, I hope he takes this team to the next step, is I think we don't know enough about Travis Green that maybe he is the right fit at the moment for this team, not based on his name and his whether it's a celebrity status as a head coach or not, just based on the guy that can push the right buttons. And that's what I'd like to see before we all skewer him.
Yeah, I don't care who they bring in and what resume the person has. The Ottawa Senators haven't played a playoff game since 2017. And they're not going to until at least 2025. I don't care who the coach is, you need to win. And you need to get to the playoffs, and you need to win games. And I just don't know whether they bring in Travis Green or anybody else. The only thing that matters is getting to the playoffs and winning.